Hey, True Believers, Chris Mack coming at you today with the Amazing Spider-Man 258. And I absolutely loved this book. This has everything that you could ask for in storytelling. But before we dive into everything with Mary Jane and Peter Parker, let's talk about who made this book. This is Tom DeFalco, writer, Ron Frenz, penciler, Josef Rubinstein, inker, Joe Rosen, letterer, Bob Sharon, colorist, Danny Fingeroth, editor, and Jim Shooter, editor-in-chief. So we have an all-star cast on this book, and the print date was November 1984. So at this point, this is when Peter was bonded with the symbiote, and just a spoiler alert if you've never read this book, which if you don't want spoilers, it's hard to kind of dance around that, so it's gonna happen if you want to read this book. Either first go support your local comic shop and pick up a copy of this book if you can. If not, try to find a reprint or a collected trade that has this in it. So with that said, you go get it, you read it, and you're back. Here at the last issue 257, Mary Jane reveals that she knows that Peter Parker has been Spider-Man all along. And I just love how he has this terrified look of, oh my God. And she goes, I know your secret, Peter. I've known it for years. You are Spider-Man. And she goes, there's no sense in trying to deny you'll just lie to me again. And before she could leave, because she's just furious, at that point, Black Cat just jumps in. She goes, what's happening, lover? I just stopped by to, whoops. It's true. It's all true. Oh no, the Black Cat just blew my secret identity for sure. And so Mary Jane bails on him. Black Cat is just furious. And what's great is she goes to leave because she's, Felicia's just very much kind of runs on emotion. He goes, no, I won't let you run out on me too. And without his web shooters and without his suit being on him, it goes flip. And he's like, wait a minute. How did that happen? That webbing really threw me. I never realized my costume could do that while I was still disguised to look like my civvies. Because here, if you haven't read it, what happened when he had the symbiote bonded to him, he could, instead of having to change into his uniform or whatever, the symbiote would just take the form of human clothes so he could just change on the fly. In last issue, he fought a character named Puma. So right here, I had to laugh a little bit because it says, meanwhile, in Hartsdale, New Mexico, which, woo woo, we get some more backstory on the Puma and how he wants to learn about Peter Parker and his fighting style so that they can have an excellent, epic rematch. And that's what I like about these older stories. I call it Chris Claremont-esque, but I'm sure this was just kind of a thing back in the day where you'd get in the thick of the main story and you'd kind of get elsewhere or meanwhile in another part of the world, and we get build up for a future story. And then while we're at it, we're going to be seeing Dazzler, the movie. And when Mary Jane bells on him, you're thinking, what a wench. Because she's just avoiding all of Peter's calls. And she's like, I wish I could say goodbye to you, Peter. But it's better for us if I just quietly vanish out of your life. But then she sees a picture of her sister. And she goes, oh no, it's happening all over again. I'm running out on Peter just like I ran out on my own sister. And before we can get any more of that, we get into Peter. And here you can just see how he's torn with everything going on in his life. He's saying, Mary Jane won't talk to me. Aunt May won't speak to me because I dropped out of school. I'm having problems at work. My relationship with Black Cat seems to be getting shakier by the moment. And there's just a horde of baddies who just love to ace me. And again, the paneling, how he's thinking, sitting in his chair, and as we just go out and it makes him look small. So this is a great representation of visual storytelling to just see how far Peter feels like his life, he's not in control of his life. He goes, it's so depressing. Sometimes I feel like I have absolutely no control over my own life. That frightens me. Whew. Shivers. And then here we see how he's fallen asleep. The suit takes him. And I love how between the artists and the writers, we get a visual representation that says, yet even though Spider-Man haunts the night, agilely springing from rooftop to rooftop, if we could peer beneath his mask, we could see that Peter Parker is oblivious to it all. He sleeps. Now, what's important about this story is we get this great inner, mental fight between the symbiote, Peter Parker, and Spider-Man. And he goes, "You're tearing me apart." And again, great visual storytelling. So Peter at this point is like, you know what? Reed offered to analyze my suit, and I think I'm going to take him up on it because these nightmares and the way that I'm constantly sleeping and missing days is terrifying me. And so here we learn some great things about the symbiote, how without his web shooters, the symbiote basically reacts to every mental command. It bonds to him, and that's how he's able to make his webbing without his shooters. And then again, we get another one of those meanwhiles, and there's an awesome, epic fight with the Hobgoblin, which I'm not going to spoil. But this is where we find out that the symbiote's alive. Reed says, "You're wearing a highly evolved symbiote, a sentient being which has attached itself to you, both mentally and physically." And Reed had a notion about this, and he was terrified. He's glad that Peter came. He goes, "We got to get the suit off of you." He goes, "I can't. I'm ordering it to get off me, but it won't budge. In fact, it's getting tighter, crushing me. Oh no, just as I feared. The costume is afraid of being separated from the host. It's attempting to permanently graft itself to Spider-Man's body." So as we know, the symbiote can't handle loud noises. So Reed grabs this sonic blaster. And I love how Johnny says, "Are you sure this is going to work?" "No, but we can pray." And this is how Peter Parker is finally freed from the symbiote, and how we find out that it is terrified of fire. And also, this book, this is before Peter revealed his secret identity to anybody. So Peter immediately covers his face. He's like, "Why are you covering your face? You can't be that ugly." Classic Johnny. "Give me a break, Torch. You may not have a secret identity, but I do." and Reed's like, "Relax, Torch. I'm certain that he can help you, wrestle something up." "Yeah, leave everything to me." That's something you don't ever want to do for Johnny, because here is where we get the first appearance of the Bombastic Bag Man. And I'm sure a lot of you have seen this skin in video games, and then of course the Marvel Legend figure that's been released. So here, Johnny's like presenting the all-new, totally revamped Spider-Man. Very funny, Flame Brain. I'll get you for this. Couldn't be helped, Webbs. It was easy enough to dig up an old costume for you to slip into, but we're a little short on masks. So Peter's kind of left to his own devices of having to get home. And I just love how Johnny's like, "Think nothing of it." I haven't had this much fun since I pulled my last April Fool's gag on the Thing. So Peter's trying to get home, and just kind of pay attention to his back as we go through this story. But something happens. There's a robbery. Cop gets shot, and Spider-Man, being who he is, regardless of what he's wearing, goes into action. And it's just a really epic way he's able to take these fools out without his webbing or anything like that, and just kind of being vulnerable in all of it. And then the press attack him. They're like, "Who are you? Why are you wearing a Fantastic Four costume? Are you a new member? Did you plan to apply? Why are you dressed like that? Is this some sort of superhero initiation prank?" And he's just fighting, and you see the thing on his back says, "Kick me." Poor Peter, but what more do you expect from Johnny Storm? Now, before any more can happen, Peter's just kind of really ready to kind of give it up. He's tired. He's like, "I've been humiliated. I don't have my suit. My whole life's just going down the drain." And then to add insult to injury, pay attention. This is supposed to be midsummer, and it's snowing, which apparently something's happening in, what is it? Number 349. So if you guys know what happened in that issue, let me know. And if I come across it, I'll review it. If you guys want to read it or, at least have me go through it, let me know down in the comments. But just the way that it works, the way that this harps on Peter's psyche and how he's just completely worn down. Again, we care about it because of the person, not because the action or, like a lot of modern comics where there's hokey jokes, blah, blah, blah. It's a soap opera because we care about their lives. The action and the superhero stuff is just the cherry on top. And in the way we're left with a cliffhanger where it says, in a secluded laboratory located within the Fantastic Four's headquarters, the alien entity, which had been Spider-Man's costume, what is it? Oh, hammers at its unyielding prison. And even as it assesses its current situation, it begins to plan, to hate, to hunger for revenge. Oh, guys, this is how you comic. There's drama, there's actions, there's stakes, there's cliffhangers, everything that you'd want in a book. I highly, highly recommend this issue. So if you guys have enjoyed what you've seen, please, first and foremost, support your local comic shop and pick up a copy. And if you've enjoyed this review, we really would appreciate if you take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. Helps the club channel more than you could possibly know. And if you don't mind hitting that fancy little symbiote bell next to subscribe, that way we continue to upload content, you guys will get notified. Come to the channel, and we love talking with y'all and hearing your thoughts and feedback down in the comments below or our social media pages, which I'll make sure to leave the links down in the description. So with all that said, thank you so much for stopping by. Hope y'all continue to have an absolutely amazing day reading, and happy hunting, true believers.